Hello, everybody. My name's Rick McCutcheon, and today on PartnerTalks, we have Alan Wyne from Innovia. Alan, introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are and what do you do for a living?
Yeah, well, my kids ask me what I do for a living frequently too. But no, I'm Alan Wyne. I'm the CEO of Innovia Consulting. I've been around the NAV BC world for probably about 14 years now. Prior to that, I cut my computer teeth on an Atari 16 for the really old people around with a cassette player.
You're safe in this crowd.
I taught myself RPG 2, worked on a System 36 for a few years, and then got into the DBase 3 Plus Fox Pro world with SBT accounting, and then got into C# for building business apps. So I'm, for the last 30 years, I've been everything from a base programmer to a CIO, and then had a couple of years where I was running a blown film facility. Actually had 4 different plants, and we had about 1,000 employees. So it was an interesting time to be in ops, and I love ops. They're fun. And for the last 8 years, I've been the CEO of Innovia Consulting, and we've been trying to grow the business.
And I think you're pretty successful at growing the business. So let's talk a little bit about, we talk about Innovia, how it started, and how did it get to the point it is today?
Yeah. So Donovan Lane owns Innovia Consulting, and for those of you wandering around directions, you'll see him. He's a very verbose person, so good guy. He still owns it. He started selling computers basically out of his trunk back when we could all still do that. Go to Dell or Gateway, for those of you that are old, buy some computers and take them and sell them to any customer. And then he got into software, and again got into an accounting package, SBT accounting, because you could modify it. And then in '99 he made the decision that he was going to move from that small business product to a bigger product called Navision at that point. And it would, Microsoft had just brought it over from Denmark. You could modify it. That was again a big deal, and we all know that. And so that was the beginning of the current journey. And today we have grown from just doing all of that, and to a company that's now got probably 440 customers. And we were just starting out with NAV back in '99, and we focused strictly on BC. So the growth pattern over the years has been like normal customers. We fight for net new customers and do all that. In about 2009-ish, we decided to focus on what we call free agents, or Microsoft calls them orphans. Basically, it's customers that aren't just, for some reason, aren't happy with their VAR. And we found that was an easier sell than getting into the beauty contest or the net news. And so we have been very successful at that. We get probably 30 a year that come and join us. And that has worked really well. And in 2017, then we said, hey, we're getting more and more customers in Canada. So we created a Canadian entity, a full legal entity. Canadian customers are now seeing Canadian bills, and it makes it easier for us to function in Canada. And I've got probably 18 people that we employ in Canada. So that has grown for us. And then, we really made a decision about 6 years ago that it was acquisition time. And so in the last 6 years, we've done 5 acquisitions. We just completed one 3 weeks ago with a company called 365 Vertical and 365 Cannabis, and brought over a number of their employees and all their customers. And it's been a good purchase. We're just at the beginning stages of the transition, but it's solid. And it has really helped us, using that acquisition method, really helped us grow the company and get a bigger customer base, all the while saying, we're not doing anything but Business Central. The NAV and BC, that's us. If you want to be great at something, pick one. And so while we do the AI add-ons and we do Power Platform add-ons, we stay primarily within that BC world, and it's worked well for us up to this point.
So I've got a couple questions to ask you. So I'm very interested in your move from looking for only net new customers to really being I'm not going to call it managed services, but really setting up to take care of existing customers. How are those two businesses different?
I would say that dealing with customers who are already on the product, they already know the product to a degree. They think they know what it can do for them. They're not sure, because what's happened is they've come to us because we have a broader base, we have more knowledge than maybe a 5-person firm, right? It's, I got on BC, but now they can't help me with warehouse management or tying into an MES system, or we're growing and they're buying 4 more facilities. How do you do that? So it's much more supportive, and it's much more what we call farming. We're just farming those customers for any new things that are going to help them become better users of ERP and better users of growth. I think when you're doing a net new, when you're moving somebody from QuickBooks or Sage or Acumatica to BC, it's a wholesale change. And so you don't know how sophisticated that customer is. You don't know if they handle change management well. There's a lot of unknowns, as opposed to somebody coming to me and go, I know the system's good, just don't think we're using it real well. And so it's I would say more supportive is probably the best way to phrase that. And I think it's more successful.
So in that type of business, you must have a deep relationship with ISV partners, and you must really spend a lot of time understanding not only the current business of your customers, but where they're taking their business. How do you do that?
Well, we created what we call the core ISVs, and so we've got in warehouse management, we've got 3 that we really like. In manufacturing shop floor, we've got a couple. In AP, there's a bazillion AP automation ones out there. We choose 3, and we go, these are the ones we know. We're going to go through the training. We're going to get good at it. We're going to have more than one person dealing with it. And that's not only in the project groups, because I've divided my company into project teams and support, a physical support team that has 13 people. That's all it does. But imagine the phone calls, right? Nobody calls support because they're happy. Everybody calls support because they got a problem, and they have to have a breadth of knowledge. So we really try to limit what we tell people we're good at. And then we've got another group of ISVs that it's like, look, we don't do it a lot, but we understand it. And then there's, all of the others coming from AppSource. And we're upfront with customers. It's like if they've pulled something down from AppSource, or we get a free agent, it's like, we have never seen this in our entire lives, we tell them that. And it's like, look, we'll help you the best we can, but it's going to cost more, because we're going to have to be learning along the ways, and it's not necessarily the one we're going to keep, so to speak. So yeah, it's a tight connection with our company and with the ISVs.
And what kind of culture are you building at Innovia? I find this interesting because your company is expanding all the time. You're building it around an SMB customer. What's your own culture like?
We really strive to have that open door policy and talk. Anybody can talk to anybody. I mean, I have people throw stuff on my calendar all the time just because they want to chat or they got a question with change. As you get bigger, it gets more difficult because you don't meet people, and we're fully remote. So when we get together at our customer conference, or we get together at another conference, I'm meeting people for the first time in the company. But we try to have after-hour events, so where the employees can hop on and do whatever the after-hour events. One year we made llamas out of paper mache. It's just those things that people can do. I think we also, one of our current initiatives is, we're trying to create a new culture of curiosity, because what we're finding is it's moving so fast. It moved fast before, now it's rocket speed. And so having people talk to each other, having the staff meetings on a monthly or bi-monthly basis, have the ability for people to post what's cool. Hey, that's just neat. I just found out about this. You just work to have everybody helping each other and do that. And, we've broken everything into teams. They're not siloed, but that team is supporting itself. So they have, 3 application consultants for finance, 2 for ops, couple of developers, and they do projects together. So they kind of live and speak that whole world themselves. And then we've got other teams that do that, and then we do some cross-purpose on it. But it's really, being fully remote, honestly, it's one of our biggest challenges to keep people engaged. I can't walk into the kitchen and see 15 other people. I see my wife.
Yes.
So, which is a good thing, don't get me wrong, but just is what it is.
So when we look at Directions, and it's coming up in just a few weeks in Florida, and it's where our Business Central community meets from a partner perspective, why is that important to Innovia?
There's, I think, three primary reasons that we like Directions. The first is it's educational. So we send about 12, 13 people, somewhere in there. And, it's upper management, it's sales, and it's operations, it's delivery people. They can all learn things. I mean, we see the roadmap coming, so that's always good for us to be talking to our customers because you're getting a preview there. Our technical people go to a lot of good technical sessions, especially some of the hour-and-a-half long labs that at least the developers love going to, right? And so that, to me, staff education is number one on the list. And we try to rotate the staff going. The leadership always goes, but we try to rotate the staff going so people over the years get to go at least once. From a leadership standpoint, it allows us to talk with the ISVs. It allows us to talk with Microsoft and really get a better picture, because we have people that also go to EMEA, and we get both levels of that. The executive sessions are good. I mean, if at my level or at Donovan's level, we can talk with people who do our job and compare notes and try to feel like, are we best of breed or not? Do we know where we're at? Just in general. And then networking, the obvious one. The best part about knowing an ISV really well is when you've got that issue, you can pick the phone up and give them a call. The best thing about knowing other leaders of practices is, a company, you can go, I just don't understand why this is happening. And you can call somebody else and go, what are you doing in this particular case? So, we've got a lot of challenges as leaders, in terms of the economy, in terms of people pushing back on rates, in terms of time and billing. I mean, the world is changing slightly, and this helps us know that we're not the only ones seeing the change. And, there's a gain there.
And, I love a good partner conference because sometimes it's good not having the customer in the room. We love our customers, but when we're talking about the business of dynamics, we want to know what's working for you, what's not working for you. And someone can say, don't do that because of this, right? And sometimes you can't say that in front of a customer.
No, and that's a really good point. You need a time where it's just us, and because otherwise it's going to get complicated. And the other Summit and Doug and the others, they are customer focused. This one allows us to really kind of take the blankets off and go, let's have a good conversation.
Okay, so you made a good point that there's something at Directions for the technical people, the line of business people, and of course leadership. And when ISVs are coming into our space for the first time and they should say, should we go to Directions? And I just say clearly, it's probably the most important place to go to meet decision makers, because every Business Central partner decision maker is probably going to be in Orlando that week at Directions conference.
Yep. That's your ISVs. That we're their customers, and so they should be there.
Okay. All right, Alan. I want to thank you for your time today. You're doing a great job at Innovia. I think from a community standard and from exposure into the customer communities, we all know Innovia and how much they support the communities. And then we have a conference like Directions, and we see you and your leadership there. I think it's really important to the rest of the ecosystem, but to your own culture as a place to grow at Innovia.
I agree. Thanks for letting us do this. This was fun. I really enjoyed it, and I look forward to meeting everybody at Directions.